March 2nd, 2018.
You know, I was gonna do a fucking like funny like thing where I was gonna be like Vincent Price and I was gonna be like, darkness falls across the land. But no, hang on, we gotta air out this fucking laundry right now. Why this has become a thing now? Now every time we go to record and you start to count down, it's 3, 2. Hang on, let me burp, let me fart, let me drink my water, let me fucking rub one out real quick. I'm like, why could you not do this, you know, at any point leading up before we're literally a second away from recording? It used to be a once in a while, now it's a thing. I feel like you do it intentionally now.
I do it intentionally.
Ugh, I hate you so goddamn much. This is Nerd Bourbon episode 39. I'm Seth Sturgill.
And I'm Todd Sturgill.
Motherfucker. Nah. We got a little bit of housekeeping. I think I'm gonna let you take the reins on this since you've kind of been the main one fucking with it.
Okay. So, as we've been talking,
strangle the parakeet first.
as I think we've discussed it before, is like we are planning on bringing back the streams.
Yes.
And I recently got a capture card because that's sweet tax money, and I've been testing for the past like week and a half, like testing like the best quality.
Yeah, we've been doing
like
some test streams. Quality. Yeah, trying to figure out how we can get a good stream, but also the good audio quality and shit like that.
And we finally got to that point, so we do have a couple things planned. I think me and Seth were talking earlier, like yesterday or something, and we want to at least get it to the point where we're at least streaming once a week. Mm-hmm. Like that's a confirmed once a week stream. There might be more, So
that way, at least there's at least that way though, there's like a constant trickle of gameplay videos.
Yes,
because you know we're still in the middle of the Dragon's Dogma shit. You know,
I was about to get to that.
I know. I was just saying. I was giving you a good segue, Todd.
You motherfucker. So yeah, Dragon's Dogma is definitely going to come back. I am going to continue that playthrough. And when on the 23rd of March... Hang
on.
What?
You didn't give it the proper justice. You're going to continue the adventures of Tater and Tot.
Was that the names we went with?
Yes.
Well...
Has it been so long that you've forgotten your sweet child?
There's something. They're walking travesties.
Well, look forward to their continued adventures soon.
Well, yeah, on the 23rd, we are actually planning a full co-op playthrough of the game A Way Out, which is, I think, was it the game? Like, it's like basically like a prison escape game.
Seems like it, yeah. We don't know a lot about it, weirdly, but that was that game that kind of like made the rounds at E3 last year from the guys that made Brothers. So,
okay,
I'm looking forward to it.
It's like a co-op experience. So it'd be fun to stream.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the 27th is where we will start a full playthrough of Far Cry 5.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be completely honest. I'm hyped as shit for this.
I can't wait.
Like, this is going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. Like, I'm really excited for it. It feels like it's been a long time, even though I know it hasn't, since I last played a Far Cry game, so I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Do you want to take it with this last bit? Because this shit killed me in the show notes.
Oh, I wrote in the show notes that, like, because, you know, we used to do consistent Destiny streams where we would do the weekly...
every Tuesday.
Yeah, every Tuesday we'd do the weekly reset stream, you know, and it was, like, fun to do, and I think every now and then some people even, like, tuned in and, like, sounded off in the comments a little bit, you know, and, you know, it was just kind of fun to do, and it gave us a consistent little, like, 3-hour video on the YouTube channel and stuff like that, and I think that's the bulk of the gameplay videos we have on there. It's pretty much that and the Hollow Stream, you know, gameplay videos that we put up last Halloween. Yeah. But, you know, now Destiny isn't worth... It doesn't have fucking 2 pennies to rub together. And, that game's not really worth a damn, and you and I are both max light level at this point, and we have
Yep.
literally no reason to play it anymore.
Yep.
So, pretty much until the next expansion comes out, or Sparrow Racing League or something like that, there's
You'll
pretty
never
much...
get Sparrow Racing League ever again.
If SRL comes back, I'll jump back in for that. But other than that, it's either that or a new expansion. It's like those are the only two reasons I would jump back into Destiny 2 at this point. So
Yeah, that's some real shit, though.
so until one of those two things happens, you will probably not be seeing much more Destiny content from us. But something tells me that you're not too upset about that, because you probably aren't looking for Destiny content anyway, to be honest.
Oh, actually, before we move on, there will also be like occasional Monster Hunter streams.
Yeah, I can see that.
I still play the shit out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like ending my time with it soon, just because I kind of have to force myself, and
So you might get some solo streams. You might get that sweet tater time.
Yeah,
with,
you might get tater time with
Hunter.
that. Yeah, you might get some solo streams from me just off of the PS4, kind of like Burnout Paradise and chill, basically, because I am picking up Burnout Paradise Remastered.
Have you ever thought about this, Seth? Like, what if you actually plugged in your Blue Yeti to your PlayStation?
I don't think it works like that. The blue, I mean, it might. I don't think it does, though. Does the PS4 takes USB mics?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I could try it.
At that point, like, you might be able to.
I just don't. I don't think that that's the issue. Like, because if you listen to, like, when you're in a party, the party audio, it doesn't sound great, but it sounds better than it does in the captured video. So, like, I think
I'm just saying, like, you do it, like, if you're doing a solo stream, like, you're not going to be in a party. You might, maybe it'll like, act like I'd say it would be worth a try.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. I'll try it out one of these days. But, whatever the case may be, I'll probably do some solo streams of Burnout Paradise, because I need a game right now. I've been so fucked, man. I'm such a fucking... I'm run ragged. Between, it's fun. This podcast this is my vacation right now. This is my break right now. I record and edit and produce this podcast and stuff every week, at least once a week. That's if we're not doing shots or eats or whatever. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I'm planning a wedding, which is like a constant fucking thing, where you're just like, oh, which $2,000 check am I writing out today? And then it's there's that, and then I'm running 2 D&D campaigns, which is like basically taken over all of my free thought goes to the D&D campaigns. And then I'm also trying to be like a decent fiance, and I have 2 pets to take care of, and then there's the regular adult shit like bills and laundry and a full-time job, and it's just I am stretched super thin. And so yeah, I really just need a game where I can just kind of unwind and turn my brain off. And I think Burnout Paradise is going to fit that bill perfectly, because I really love that game. And it's going to be nice to just kind of drive around in Burnout Paradise and just chill. So I think that's going to be a pretty easy solo stream for me. I think you can expect to see that.
I respect that.
Anyway, we have a solo topic this week. First, let me not cut you off. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we get into this?
I think that covers it with like the streams and whatnot. Oh, one thing that will change going forward is normally we would delete the archive off of Twitch and just have it on YouTube. I'm going to keep it on Twitch, and it'll also be on YouTube as well.
Yeah, the idea in the past was that, we want somebody to have a reason to watch the shit on YouTube, but it's honestly, it's probably 2 different audiences.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
There's people that like only use Twitch, so.
This is an interesting little news tidbit that I just read. Did you hear about this? The ESRB is now adding an in-game purchases label to games with microtransactions.
Really?
Yes, so this has actually been a thing that they've been discussing for months about how to handle games that have kind of deceptive microtransactions. So now there's going to be a label, the little I'm assuming they're going to add it to the M rating or whatever, that little box, that ESRB box.
Yeah.
And it's going to say in-game purchases. Any game that lets you pay real money for something is going to have that label. And
I respect that.
I respect it too, and the kind of thing is like, well, isn't like every game today going to have that label? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that is some real shit, because like microtransactions are like the new thing. So
yeah, a representative, or no, not the representative, the president of the ESRB made this statement where she says, like, parents need simple information. We can't overwhelm them with a lot of detail. We have not found that parents are differentiating between the different mechanics. So like that's why they're not doing something more specific of like loot boxes, or is it just skins or whatever. They're just putting in-game purchases on there.
Yeah, just a big ass net they're throwing over it.
Just a big net to throw over it to make people aware of the games that have microtransactions. So I thought that was interesting. That's kind of a big deal. I mean, there have not been significant ESRB changes in years. So it just goes to show you how big of a problem this has become.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a little news tidbit. Our solo topic this week. This is an idea that I had when we were coming up for topics for last week's episode. I thought maybe we do as you would say, a supernatural special. Because I think we both have some differences of opinion in supernatural stuff, and we both have some interesting takes on it and stuff like that. And I think there's some good conversation to be gleaned by the supernatural. And you're a fan of the show Supernatural.
I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I've fallen off it.
I couldn't do it. I just can't do it, man. I'm sorry.
I am a big fan of a lot of those like ghost hunter shows, though. Like
see, even so, I guess let's get into this, man. Let's unpack this. Let's start with ghosts, okay? So, we're casting a pretty wide net over the supernatural things. We're also going to touch on like superstitions and astrological signs, and we're going to cover as much as we can. There's probably going to be stuff that we missed. I'm sure I'm going to get a commenter, well, why did you talk about this? Well, we're fucking humans, and not only are we humans, we're human idiots. So, we're probably going to forget to mention something. But let's start with ghosts. So you like the ghost shows. Do you think that do you have any inkling that these things are real? Do you believe in ghosts, in other words?
I want them to be real. What?
Wait, you want the shows to be real, or you want the ghosts to be real?
I'm like, what is it, like, I want to believe type shit.
I see. I like the one in the hat.
What
you
holy
that?
shit, I forgot about. Yeah, I remember that shit. That was actually on the original Ghost Hunter show, right? With,
yeah,
the
that was like
crew.
That was like a long time ago in the original. Like,
yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
Like it was like, I think it was like something with a flashlight and on that shit.
I don't remember the specifics. I just remember they captured like audio of somebody saying, "I like the one in the hat."
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, I guess I mean, look, I want to believe in supernatural stuff because I think it's cool. But I think that I think that too much of this stuff is explainable through science.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, and that's the stance that a lot of the that a lot of these like ghost shows, for example, and ghost hunters take is, oh no, we're actually scientists. We actually want to disprove. And I'm like, no, you don't. You're making a TV show. You want to make money. You're not trying to disprove shit.
What do you think of like EVPs?
That's what a voice projections,
electronic voice phenomenon.
Well, so we've there we have reason to believe. I mean, there's so many different avenues that you could take with this. So like, hallucination is one, and I think people hear hallucination and they think of like, oh, that means I'm fucking crazy, right? No, you probably hallucinate way more often than you think. Where, take for example, have you ever had like you feel like your phone's vibrating, but your phone's in your hand, like you think you feel it in your pocket, but it's in your hand?
No, that's all the fucking time.
You know what I'm saying?
Real shit.
That is a small scale hallucination, and under the right circumstances, that could be considered, oh my god, a fucking ghost touched me or something, or something like that, or oh, I heard a voice. These are hallucinations that seem grander and more epic, but your brain is constantly playing tricks on you because scientifically, your brain has a lot of fucking work to do. So every now and then when your brain fucks up, your brain almost never fucks up, but that little 5% of the time when your brain does fuck up and you're like, oh, that was weird. That's a fuck up of your brain. That is not the presence of a ghost.
One thing I think one of the main things that why people believe in some sort of ghost and spirit shit is what is it called? Fuck, I forget what it's called. It's when you basically wake up too quick and you're still technically in dream mode.
Yes, so I actually have a story related to that,
I have
sleep
shit
paralysis.
That shit's some there it is, sleep paralysis. That shit is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and again, this is so the human, and this is my ultimate point whenever I get into a conversation about stuff like this. I respect the people that firmly, wholeheartedly believe it. That's fine, believe what you want to believe, but it's I think a lot of it is that people want to embellish the truth, and I think people want to have reasoning behind everything. And I mean, look, we're human beings. Human beings, what separates us from the animals is that we love to tell stories, right? So we, animals can't tell stories. We tell stories. Human beings tell stories. We're storytellers. We take the unexplained and we try to explain it in a way that is interesting to us. And, a cynical take on that would say that that's how religion was formed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying that's kind of the cynical take on that. But that is how, in my opinion, that is how these sort of ghost stories came to be, is these hallucinations or things that can be explained with science. Others would rather explain it by, oh, ghosts are cool. The concept of an afterlife is interesting, and unfinished business and this and that and the other. But yeah, I've had weird shit happen to me. 0% of it is unexplainable. I've never had anything happen to me that I could not explain. You know what I mean? Through science. And I would argue that nobody has. I don't think there's been a case where that is literally unexplainable. You know what I mean? The human body is too weird. There's too much weird shit going on inside of you at any given moment. The human brain is too complex for this stuff to be real, in my opinion. That's just my sort. I'm the ultimate skeptic. That's my take on it. Now, I want to believe. It'd be cool if these things were real. Nobody wants there to be a fucking werewolf more than me. You know what I mean? Anyway, I think you're about to say something about.
Well, it's I'm in for me personally, I'm just in the ballpark of I want it to be real, but I am skeptical in my own way. But
what's your take on the what's your take on the skepticism? What sort of approach do you have with the skepticism?
Because a lot of the times, especially with the EVP shit, they're recording the white noise. I'm I've listened to white noise before. Shit just kind of comes through. You're just sitting there.
Well, and this is another thing that is explainable. So EVP, right? This is another trick that the human brain can play, and actually, I might link to this if I remember to. In the description, but there is a series that Neil Patrick Harris did. I think it's called Mind Games or something like that, or Mind Breaking or something like that, where he takes a clip of white noise and then plays it, and it just sounds like white noise, and then he tells you, did you hear the person saying this in the white noise?
Yeah, then you sit there
and then you hear it.
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
He plays the exact same thing again, and you hear it, and you go back and you hear it that time too. And again, it's because of your brain. It's all explainable through science. You know what I mean? Your brain is constantly playing tricks on you, and you don't even realize it. Your everyday life is a fucking trick. every
Well, yeah, it's like one of those things. Like you sit there, you see a figure out of the corner of your eye, type shit.
right. Every
Yeah.
everything that your brain is communicating to the rest of your body is a farce. And the second that the seams start to show in that, that's when that is what you think of as a ghost. That's what you think of as a paranormal, sort of a piece of paranormal activity, is when you're seeing the seams of your brain's shitty theater show. You know? Anyway, sorry. Continue.
I mean, I kind of want to get into a story of mine.
Yeah, go for it.
So this happened about shit. I was pretty young. I had to be in my early teens
Mm-hmm.
at this point. And there's an abandoned building
Ooh.
behind. It's just like an abandoned factory type shit. Where I think they used to do like grain or some shit. It has like silos on the motherfucker.
Oh, weird. In Chicago?
Yeah,
Huh.
I think you've seen the building. It's behind the Target.
I've probably seen it, but anyway.
Yeah. I've been in there. I've been all the way to the top. Everybody just calls it the Damon Factory. Don't remember what it actually is. Everybody uses it now to like film like TV shows and shit.
Oh, really? Like TV shows go and film in there?
Yeah, all that like Chicago PD, Chicago Fire bullshit.
Ah, okay.
Like a lot of people use that shit to film now.
I see.
So it's kind of I think it's harder to get into it now, but but yeah. So it was me and a group of my buddies at the time that I was hanging out with, and we've always heard like weird shit happening over there. So that's cool. We were like, hey, let's go check it out. So we're just exploring. We explored like the top part of it, and then we moved our way to the legit bottom of the silos. We're like in the basement of it, type shit. And again, all this shit could be technically easily explained, but it's still creepy as all shit.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's
So
and that I want to drive that home. It's okay to admit like, oh wow, that was really weird and creepy and shit.
So we're sitting there. We're sitting there all the way at the back. Like the entrance to the fucking basement is like this thing you gotta like climb down like it was like a window. So we're all the way at the back of this thing. Like all the way at the back, just chilling, talking in a circle.
Wait, hang on. Talking in a circle inside the
We're just
silo?
standing in a circle, just chilling. We're just standing in a circle, just chilling.
Okay.
We're just kind of just
Made it sound like you were trying to like, oh yeah, some weird shit. I mean, we tried to summon Satan, but some weird shit. It was so weird.
No. We're just chilling. We're just chilling and talking. But here's the thing: I look over to the entrance, right?
Yeah.
A light shining through. I said I saw nothing but a black figure.
Okay.
And it was like just black, just like the light was shining on his ass, and it was just black.
Like a humanoid figure?
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, I thought I was just seeing shit, so I didn't even say anything. Then I look back, maybe 15 to 20 seconds later, that thing's gone.
Right.
And I go to, I tell him, I'm like, dude, there was somebody standing right there, like right there at the entrance. And as I say it, the loudest fucking crash happens right behind us. Dude, you ever see my fat ass run? My fucking ass was gone. Dude, my ass was just fucking booking it. And here's the deal. I end up tripping, right? I trip and do the most stylish roll and get back up and I'm still running.
I can respect that. Yeah.
I run into one of my buddies, and here's the thing. We're looking for our other buddy. We didn't know if they got out of it. And dude, we come in, and we find, we like, he turns the corner. He's like, hey, Tim. It was one of the dude's name. And because he sees like a black figure too, and he's just like, "That's not Tim," and we just kept fucking moving. See, that one could easily be like, "Oh, you just saw something in the fucking dark" type shit.
Right.
But the one that I think the figure I saw was like creepier because it was just like the light was shining on it,
Right.
and it was still black.
And that's always the thing too, right? Is like, oh yeah, I was in a dark place where I was already scared.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's why I was like, that one. Like, thinking back to it, that one's like, we're already scared shitless at this point.
So, what about the crash? Coincidence. You know what I mean?
Coincidence, exactly. So, but here's the deal. I'm not done with the story. We get out, right? We get out. We all like circle around, and we're like, let's go back in there. We go back in there, and where we stood was this heavy ass propane tank where we were standing.
So
That was,
probably like fell or something like that.
dude. They weren't even near it. They weren't like we weren't even. No, dude. Here's the thing. It was where those tanks were was like on the other side of the room where we were standing.
Well, I mean,
And
does it stand to reason though that that's probably what the crash was? Something that dislodged one of the propane tanks and sent it to where you guys were.
not standing completely upright.
That's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little weird that it would be upright, but I mean, it's still.
And it took like two or three of us to like move it. That's how heavy it was.
Propane tanks are heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like out of all the shit that happened, that's like the creepiest part to me, still to this day.
Yeah.
Where that fucker was just standing completely upright.
Yeah.
Like it was basically where it was where we were like where we were in the circle. It was in the center. Like that's just. I think back to that shit. I'm like, that's some creepy ass shit right there.
I mean, that's definitely weird. That's definitely weird. But again, as you said, even leading into it, explainable but weird and creepy.
Explainable. Like honestly, it's like it could have been there's some homeless motherfuckers in there. Could just be sitting there fucking scaring the shit out of people.
Could have been several things. I've never had anything. I've never had any kind of like I guess real life ghost stories. Like I've never had anything happen to me where I would consider it a ghost story in my real life, other than the fact that I had a sleep paralysis episode that was pretty creepy.
That shit's always terrifying.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't know that that's what it was for a long time because it actually happened to me when I was quite young.
Once you tell yours, I'm actually gonna tell one that it's from my buddy Ronald. That shit's pretty funny.
So what happened with mine was. I woke up from a dream that I was having where I was like being sacrificed by like these like keep in mind I can't be older than like 12 or something like that, and I think I must have saw a movie or something like that bothered me. Anyway, I was on this altar and these like figures were standing over me, and in my head they're like vampires or something like that, but that can't. They just sort of looked like that, I guess, in my head. And anyway, as and they had my mouth like sewn shut. And I didn't know until much later that this was a sleep paralysis episode. But as I woke up, I couldn't move my body and I couldn't open my mouth for what seemed like minutes. And I saw hovering over me one of the figures in my dream. And it was like fucking terrifying. And I'm sitting there unable to move and unable to open my mouth until finally I kind of actually woke up. Because, that's essentially what sleep paralysis is you're waking up before your brain is waking up. And essentially I never stopped dreaming even though I was awake, And that's the funny thing just about the way your brain unpacks things in the dream state. But that other than that, I don't think I've ever really had a paranormal, experience. And if Anastasia was here, she could tell you several things I've touched on before. Her dad, he's a kind of ghost hunter. He does a lot of paranormal investigation and stuff like that. But he, I'm sure, has plenty of great stories, but. Not me, man. I
want to talk about Ronald's sleep paralysis.
I want to hear it.
This is, dude. I swear to God, this shit always killed me because it was like so coincidental.
Mm.
So, in his father's room, there was like a hole up into the attic, right?
Okay.
And he's always like heard shit up there. Like just something like moving around, like some shit. He's always assumed that like the house is haunted and shit. And one day, I was over there at the time. He just fucking jumps on his dad's bed and just sticks his head up there and like, quit that shit, basically. And here's the deal: that fucking very night, his ass has some sleep paralysis shit.
Oh God,
dude, he wakes up, can't move, all that shit. All he sees is this demonic ass looking thing just shuffling over to him real quick.
Oh God, fuck no. Again, these are explainable things, but they're still fucking creepy, you know.
Dude, like it's the thing, like the way he described its movement, I'm like, bro, I'd shit myself.
The shit's scary. Sleep paralysis is really scary. I've never had an episode since
I
that
feel
one.
I feel like on some real shit, somebody could like die during that, like get a heart attack type shit out of like
Oh
fear.
yeah, easy. Yeah, easy.
Oh man.
Do you have, so you mentioned this silo place. Do you have any other like haunted, allegedly places near you?
I probably do, but not to my knowledge. That's like the main one that I know about.
We have this in DeRidder, which is a city, you know, probably 30 miles ish away from me. There is a place called the Hanging Jail. It's actually relatively famous. And it's kind of one of the, you can actually go and get, or it's called like the Gothic Jail or the Hanging Jail or whatever. It's the Beauregard Parish Jail. It was a early 1900s Gothic jail. And essentially let me get this straight. I have the story. I don't want to get it wrong. J.J. Brevell was a taxi driver who was murdered by his fares while taking them to a rural destination. Brevell is buried in Woodlawn Cemetery. The two men who were found guilty of his murder were hanged in the Old Parish Jail on March 9th, 1928. So essentially, what ended up happening was these two guys, I guess, got into a cab and murdered the taxi driver and were put in this jail. Were put in this jail to hang. And so now, like, the idea is that, you know, people pass by and they say that they can see the guys hanging in the window and stuff like that. Because that's the creepy thing about it. If you look at pictures of it, is you can easily see into the windows on the upper stories. It's a really small little jail. Mm-hmm. You can easily see up in there. And they give tours and stuff around Halloween time and this and that and the other. And, it's kind of interesting, you know, like, you know, this happened a long time ago and stuff like that, but it's kind of interesting that something like that is so, like, close to home, I guess. But it's, you know, other than that, there's not really any big haunted place. There's some creepy old buildings. You know, Louisiana is full of just history, especially as you get down to New Orleans and in like southern Louisiana. There is just, I mean, it's a hotbed of, you know, that's like fucking supernatural Mecca. Her dad like wanted to make a trip out to New Orleans so bad. Actually, when they come back down for the wedding, he's gonna take an extra week to just hang out in New Orleans, basically.
I respect that.
But yeah, let's move out of the ghost direction. I want to talk about aliens for a second.
Ooh.
Are we alone in this world, Todd? How do you feel about this?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I think the universe is way too vast for us to be the only intelligent life in this world, in this universe.
Right.
Or, you know, like, I think the universe is too vast for us to be the only intelligent life. Personally, that's what I believe.
Right. I agree with that. There are a few different schools of thought with aliens, right? There's the thought that that aliens are among us and just have not made contact yet. There's the thought that that aliens know that we're here and they're kind of like waiting for the right time, or that like aliens have come to Earth and that the government is hiding it, or that aliens exist and we don't know about them and they don't know about us. And there's the thought that I sort of think is that aliens exist and they're out there and they know about us, but they just don't give a fuck. I think that's kind of where I fall.
That's a good thought process. I enjoy it.
Well, like, why, if there is an intelligent life and, you know, everybody is all on board with UFOs and this, that, and the other, you know, if aliens exist and they come down here and have UFOs and shit like that, why would they care about us? You know? Like, why would they give a shit?
Like, why would they care about our primitive asses?
Exactly. Why would they they would not see us as a threat. You know what I mean? Like, why would they fucking care? You know, and it's not as if, it's not as if they're like coming down. Again, this all, it's stories. It's people embellishing stuff and saying like, oh, like aliens want to come and conquer and stuff like that. And this stuff kind of came to light, if you think about it, around like, when everybody was scared about nuclear war and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, is like the concept of ghosts is really ancient. The concept of aliens isn't that old. Like, how interesting is that? The fact that we didn't start coming up with the concept of, it's not like you're thinking of, people aren't describing little gray men from space in, the 1800s. You know what I mean? Like they were with ghosts. The concept of ghosts and vampires and stuff, these have been around for a long, long time. The concept of aliens and space age technology and stuff has not been around that long. And that's even more fuel for the skepticism for me of like, that's why I feel like this sort of stuff is bullshit. Now, that being said, yeah, there is almost certainly other intelligent life. The universe is bigger than we can fathom. It has got to exist out there somewhere. And it probably doesn't know about us. And if it does, it doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? That's my take on it. Now, piggybacking off of that, do you think they're hiding something in Area 51? Do you think that there's like some alien shit in there?
Part of me does.
You think there's some alien shit in there?
I feel like Roswell was too big of a thing for it not to be something.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? It's a good, it's a great story. That is a great classic American story. But, yeah, like I think that there's certainly secrets. There's certainly some shit happened in Roswell. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Some shit happened there.
Yeah, like either it be some just like really experimental shit. Shit is at Area 51.
The thing about it is I think the government is testing weird experimental shit like that all the time.
Yeah.
The government hemorrhages money in more ways than one, but Area 51 is probably where the government keeps a lot of this weird experimental shit that they're working on. And yeah, Roswell, some shit happened in Roswell. I don't think it was necessarily UFO or aliens or whatever, but some shit certainly happened there. And what's funny is that, art, life kind of imitating art is a possibility too, of like where people are describing UFOs and stuff like that. And it's like, well, the government may, piggybacking off of that may plant a seed in an engineer's head that works for the government. That may be the design of the next, of something the government's working on, may have a design that's like a UFO. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
in a way, we're creating our own reality. And I don't know. I think there's something to be said about that. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my take on aliens, man.
That's an interesting point of view.
I don't know. I just don't think. I don't know. That's kind of my take. Now, do you have any superstitions that you believe in?
The only superstition that I believe in is a personal superstition.
Okay.
I trust the feeling in my balls at all times.
Trust that ball feeling. Yeah, that
if
good
I
ball
feel in my balls, something wrong is about to happen.
I think we had this conversation where it's like we don't necessarily believe in it, but we still kind of, like you still kind of. I'm not gonna go walking under any ladders, even though I don't necessarily believe that that's bad luck.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of my. There's the whole. There's a weird one that I worked with this girl a few years ago. Really sweet girl. I really liked her, and still have her on Facebook and stuff like that. But she's from Mexico, and I was sweeping the floor around her, and she like avoided me like the plague while I was sleeping. While I was sweeping, and and she goes, "You can't sweep my feet." I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? She's like, if you sweep my feet, like if you run the broom over my feet, it means I'm never gonna get married. I was like, I've never heard that. Apparently, it's
I've never heard that in my life.
apparently it's a big Mexican superstition. I don't know, but she thinks that if her feet get swept, like a like goes over her feet, she's not gonna get married. I don't know, just a weird thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily believe in any superstitions, but again, at the same time, I'm not necessarily gonna go, you know, looking for them, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand.
The idea
For
of
the
the
most
black
part.
cat being unlucky is weird to me. Where did that come from? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like stories with
Right.
with, like black cats are usually associated with like witches and shit.
Isn't that weird though? Like how did that start? You know, like what's the origin point of all this stuff? You know? Like
That'd be another topic for another time.
just interesting. It'd be interesting to know the history of some of these stories and what created the superstition that a black cat means bad luck. I mean, we have my little brother Trav. He's got a black cat that we've had for 6 or 7 years now, named Calvin, and he is just the sweetest, most loving cat you'll ever meet in your life. And I just find it funny. Like whenever I see him, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, you're a black cat. This is supposed to be bad, right? I don't know. There's some. I'm trying to think of some other. One thing that I did do, when I was a kid is the whole avoiding stepping on cracks.
Did you wait? You did step on it, or you avoided?
I avoided it. And
Okay.
in a way, I still kind of do, but I think that that's more so because of OCD than superstition. If I'm actually looking at my feet as I'm walking, and I'm walking on like large tiled surfaces, I will make it a point to try to not step on the crack, just as an OCD thing, not because I think I'm like slowly breaking my mom's back somewhere. But I don't know. I think that boils down to being more of an OCD thing than a me believing in superstition thing. Yeah, I can't think of any superstition that I like legitimately believe in.
I'm not like full on with superstitions really. That's like
Now what
it's
about
never really been a big deal with me.
psychics? What's your stance
that's all
on the
bullshit.
psychics?
It's all bullshit.
Oh my god, you about to see me get heated?
See, here's like we were like when we were putting the show notes together. Your ass is like, oh, we're talking about psychics basically.
Holy shit!
All right,
Anastasia-
I'm ready for this.
Anastasia watches that shit sometimes, like Long Island Medium and shit like that.
Oh dear lord.
Oh my god. There is nothing in this world that makes me more angry than seeing these psychics. These pieces of shit.
It's the same thing with it's like they say the most vague shit like, oh, like they play off whoever they're fucking talking to. It's bullshit.
Oh,
It's a shit and act.
Oh, well, there's the whole and that's the thing. We figured this out. It's like Bill Nye says when he's talking about the fucking morons who think that the earth is flat. We've figured this out. We've gone to space. We've seen that it ain't flat. You know what I mean? You fucking idiot. These people have figured out the techniques for these psychics. Psychics have come forward saying, oh yeah, it's all bullshit and this is the cold reading technique and this and that and the other.
Yep.
And people still believe this shit. Like, and you see these poor people who are believing that they're talking to their dead, grandpa or whatever, and they're just weeping and like totally buying
It's
it.
like I understand like people want closure and shit, but dear lord.
If that's how you want to get your closure, fine. But like these people are paying vast sums of money and getting television shows, and I mean it's fucking absurd. It's gross, frankly, to me. Like I don't have a lot of respect for it because I think there's some of them who are like a little deluded and actually think that they're doing it, but I bet most of them know that they're not doing shit.
Most of them know they're bullshit.
Yeah, most of them know that they're just total bullshit. And it's so funny because, it's funny to see the shit that isn't televised. Like, they televise the ones where it's like, oh my god, she, fucking Teresa, the Long Island medium, she picked a random person out of the crowd and had a successful reading on them. Well, tell you what, that was person number 5. And the other 4 were like, no, yeah, there's nobody in my life whose name starts with a P. You know what I mean? Like, it's all edited.
It gets to the point where they're like, anyone, does anybody have somebody in their life named P? Oh, it's me.
Literally anybody can do this. Where it's like, oh, I'm detecting. Yeah, somebody's reaching out to me. It seems like
holy shit! Didn't South Park have an episode with that?
Yeah. It's fucking disgusting. It gets me so mad. Like, and I think BuzzFeed actually recently did a video where they were all just totally buying into it. It's all the most generalized shit. And they're getting these readings on you, and the more information that you're giving them, that's
the easier it is to continue the bullshit.
The easier it is to keep tugging on that thread, and they can tell when it's affecting you, you know what I mean? It's these people are good at their craft, but their craft is bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Oh. It makes me so fucking mad. Few things make me as mad as seeing like the Long Island Medium. What piece of shit. And also and also just like a shitty person, like even if she wasn't a psychic, I would just hate her. You know what I mean? She's that typical like, oh, I'm from Jersey and Jim Tan laundry and shit like that. Ugh.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, hate her. Let's move on from that though. Since let's check that psychics box off. Todd, what's your sign? What's your sign, Todd?
I mean, I don't really give a shit about my sign, but I am in a was it Aquarius or whatever?
What is the so what's the thing about it? Let me look this up. Aquarius.
Fuck, you're talking to the wrong motherfucker. I don't even know.
You don't know what the traits are?
Hell no.
Okay, so let's see. Aquarius men are unpredictable, intelligent, social, independent, and excellent communicators. Do you think that describes you?
Parts of it. But again, grab some vague shit.
Exactly.
It'll stick at certain points.
Some of the negative Aquarius characteristics include unreliability, stubbornness, indecision, and inflexibility. How do you feel about that?
Again, some of it.
Now,
grab some vague fucking verbs and adjectives.
Right. I think there are some things, and again, I think this is coincidental. I think the people that write out horoscopes and stuff like that are very smart about the way they word some of these things, and I think that, you know, the idea of like, oh, the Virgos are very meticulous and perfectionists and detail-oriented and stuff, because I am pretty neurotic and detail-oriented, and I am a Virgo, you know. If you listen to this, so astrologers ascribe certain personality traits to a person born under the Virgo. People born under this sign are typically analytical, hardworking, and practical. And yeah, that's vague. I would describe myself as all of those things. But, you know, again, pretty vague. Virgos tend to worry often. They hate being the center of attention. Also both true. Of me, anyway. You know. And, you know, there's intelligence that's in there, and commitment, and sort of common sense and stuff like that. I think that all of those things describe me, but you know, at the same time, it's that fine line, man. Like it's that fine line of bullshit. Do you? I don't know, man. There's something. I want to look up what our horoscopes are.
Oh Lord.
Let's see what our horoscopes are today. Are you curious?
Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it.
So, Aquarius. You are Aquarius. You're barely an Aquarius, actually.
I'm barely an Aquarius.
This is hilarious. Oh, you're going to love this, Todd. Your horoscope for February 27th, 2018. Spoilers, that's the day that we're recording this. This is on horoscope.com. That is the most official source I can think of for a horoscope. You may be feeling tired and a bit wrung out today, Aquarius.
I feel like that every fucking day.
Although you're a workaholic by nature, even you are forced to admit that this is a day to stay in bed. Give yourself these few hours to regroup and recoup your energy. You'll be needing to operate at peak form for all the work that's likely to hit your desk next week. Do you feel those chills, Todd? Isn't that so accurate?
It's like every day of my life. I don't give a shit. It's like
Here,
it's vague shit. I love it.
it's vague shit, but again, it's really smart, right? Because that's true. You know what I mean? So here's mine. Here's the Virgo horoscope for today. If a family member is in a bad mood but not confessing why, it's up to you to step in and help. He or she is carrying that big black cloud around, casting shadows everywhere they go. Do what you can to snap your relative out of it, although take care not to force the issue too harshly. Counseling might be in order, and this may not be your area of expertise. Now, it's funny because, again, vague shit that covers a blanket on stuff. There is somebody in my life who's going through something really hard as of yesterday that, like, Anastasia and I are kind of, like, not sure how to talk to. But again, there's no way these horoscope people know that shit. You know what I'm saying? Interesting nonetheless, man. Again, we are people that love to tell stories. Todd, last thing I want to talk about. There's several things we can talk about, but I don't want to get into the minutia of, like, do you believe in Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster? Like, that's all kind of yes or no questions. You know what I mean? Like, there's not much to be gleaned from that. But I want a little more philosophical to end us out on. What happens after we die?
Truthfully, I believe nothing. I believe nothing happens. I mean, it's just we die. It's over. It's done. We have this one life. That's what I personally believe. But again, I respect anybody that believes that there is some sort of afterlife.
Right.
They have like some sort of like peace with their death. Me, I'm at peace knowing there's nothing. I don't give a shit.
Right. Here's the thing that's interesting is, like, and I agree, first of all, and with everything you just said, I agree that both of us raised very, very Christian, and totally have a profound respect for religion and Christianity and stuff like that. Blah blah blah. I think that it is impossible. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not saying that it's tough for our brains to process. I'm saying that it is impossible for our brains to process the concept of not existing. Mm-hmm. If you really think about it, the reason that we are afraid to die, the reason that we have to think of the concept of an afterlife, is because we cannot grasp the thought of us not existing. We have never...
Shit, I must say something. I can barely grasp the concept of existing. Fuck you, man.
Like, our brains, as far as they know it, have never not existed.
Yeah.
There was a time that we didn't exist, but we don't remember that time. The only reason we even know about it is because somebody that did exist during that time told us about it. To our minds, the moment we were born is when life began, and the moment that we die is when it ends. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's not... I think it's okay, in other words, to admit that we have human limitations, and our brains have limitations. I think this is my overall point for all this stuff. This is supernatural special, talking about ghosts and aliens and shit like that. I think it's okay for us as a race of human beings as people, to acknowledge the limitations of our shitty human bodies. Our bodies are amazing, miraculous, works, and they're constantly doing amazing shit. The human body is crazy and weird and fucked up, but it's limited. And there are things that your brain just can't process. Not existing is one of them. And so we come up with stories. Small hallucinations are another thing. So we come up with ghost stories. We come up with the stories of the afterlife, and we come up with all these great explanations of what happens to us after we die. You know what I mean? And when the stories get married with the coincidence is when stuff starts to take a shape that feels real to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's powerful to a lot of people, and I respect that. And I think that's okay. But personally for me, I like you said, I'm okay with the knowledge of like the sort of acceptance of like, maybe when I die, nothing happens. I just am not anymore. And my human mind can't grasp that concept. But I think when that time comes, I'm not going to have a choice. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel about the concept of reincarnation?
I mean, it's an interesting like concept overall, but that stems from what does that stem from? That stems from
I think it
usually
stems from like Buddhism, doesn't it?
is it? I think it is Buddhism. I think it's
Or
like more in
Hinduism?
like Asian. I think it's just Asian cultures in general.
Right.
For the most part, but it's an interesting like concept of like, isn't it to where like if you, I swear I used to like know more about reincarnation because again I was like it was like there was a point in my life where I was like interested in like shit like that, like looking up like like religions and all that.
Right.
But it's all like on the fucking back burner now. I mean, it's an interesting thing to where like what you die and like there's parts of it where you're gonna be a tree.
Right. Well,
Like, that's
I do believe in this circle of life. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what ultimately happens. That is nature's the circle of life is taking and giving back life to the planet, to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You know. We are just energy. We eat and we live and we die and we become food for the things that we eat and we live for. You know what I mean? Like
That's actually like if you speaking of energy is like a lot of people just believe like not in really the ghost, but like people believe that the energy that what happens to the energy of humans after we die.
right.
You know? Like some people believe like that level of thing, like just the energy itself is like the ghosts or some shit.
Yeah, there's some reason to believe that there's electromagnetic sort of residue left behind. The closest scientific approximation to a ghost is sort of there have been proven things where like you may see an electromagnetic sort of image of somebody, almost like imagine leaving your TV screen on for too long and then after you turn it off, you might see the image that was on there, sort of like that, And that's another way that science has sort of explained maybe ghost sightings, But no, I think that ultimately that the circle of life is a thing, and I think that we live and we die. And I think there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with accepting that. There's nothing wrong with accepting that you were nothing but a human. Like embrace humanity, embrace being a human. Being a human is pretty good. It's pretty bad, but it's also pretty good. Anyway, got kind of real there at the end.
Hashtag real talk.
As it sometimes tends to. But I like these topics where like there's the goofy shit where it's just like talking about aliens and ghosts and psychics and shit, but then you can get a little bit philosophical with it too. I think every now and then that's good.
I think that this is nerd bourbon, man. This is what it is. Two idiots talking about shit. Might get real, might not.
You got anything else you want to throw in here before you wrap it up?
I want to tell you one more story.
I want to hear it.
It's from Ronald.
Okay.
This is actually a story where his ass legitimately called me after it happened.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, bro, I need to get out of this house or this apartment. This shit's haunted. This is where he was living before he moved recently back in with his parents.
Yeah.
The apartment he was at, so like he had his like little man cave, and you brought it to mind with like that image of like a TV sort of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's something similar to that. So when he first turns on his webcam, it'll show the last image that it saw beforehand.
Right. I think you actually
like,
told me
turns
about
on.
this. Yeah.
Yes. So what the fucker saw was like somebody he's never seen in his life. At all.
Right.
Like, it looked creepy as shit.
So was it still like in his room and shit like that?
It was sitting there in his chair
Oh my god.
in the image. And it was just like, and then it turned on and it was just showing him. Dude, this motherfucker freaked out, called me. He's like, bro, fuck this shit. Fuck this.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Basically, it's like, was not having it. I started fucking with him. I'm like, hey man, they're gonna get you.
They coming to find you, motherfucker.
Yeah, his ass. He be getting some good shit. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I joked about it real quick before we wrap this up. I joked about it. Do you think that Bigfoot's a thing?
Nah.
I do. However, I don't think it's as epic as these people seem to think it is. Like, I think that it's probably just a species of, like, gorilla that we haven't discovered yet and is, like, extremely rare. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about the concept of, like, the missing link or whatever. I don't think there is really a missing link. Like, you know, we clearly... It's so obvious. You don't need to do anything but watch monkeys at a zoo for a few minutes to see that we clearly evolved from monkeys.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. Like, these things are... You know, I look at a monkey in a zoo and he's acting like more of a civilized human being than I am. And it's just obvious, you know, like it's as clear as day. But I do think that the concept of the Sasquatch, the concept of like a large sort of monkey that walks upright like a man, and a very kind of rarefied species where only a handful of them exist. Like, I think that there may be something to that. I don't think that that's impossible, that there may be a species of gorilla or primate that exists out there in such a small number that it's very rarely sighted, you know? I don't think that's beyond the pale. That's sort of my take on Bigfoot. And then the Loch Ness Monster, another thing I joked about, is similar, right? Where the idea that the ocean is so vastly unexplored, it could be anything, you know. It could be fucking anything. We are not, again, we're just humans. We are not all knowing, all powerful motherfuckers. There's so many things that inhabit this planet with us that we do not know about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'll get off of that tangent and I'll put a bow on this episode. You okay with that, Todd?
No, go ahead.
Anyway, you guys have been listening to Nerd Bourbon. If you had a good time listening to us talk about paranormal shit, throwing a little hashtag real talk in there, a little existential dread, a little philosophical discussion. Why don't you go ahead and throw us a follow or a sub on whatever service you're listening to us on. If there's a service we aren't currently on that you want us on, let us know so we can make that happen. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, or concerns, please leave them for us and get it right on the show. We will address it. I like to respond to the comments as early as possible on YouTube, but as you guys have seen, like, if you guys are going to talk and ask for something, we're going to deliver. That's why we've been focusing so much on the streams and stuff lately, and that's why we made a Discord channel, because you guys asked for it. You guys can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdbourbon. We are at nerdbourbon on Twitter. We're nerdbourbon on Twitch. Beyond that, the best and only way for us to grow is if you tell your friends about us. So thank you guys so much for listening. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.